Occupy San Luis Obispo. Peaceful protesters gathered at intersections around the area and in front of City Hall. We caught up with one group that had the whole family spreading the message.
The cohesive message is that we are part of the 99% and we're not being represented by our government. That's really the message. And lots of things fall under that umbrella.
While the scene has remained pretty calm during the Occupy protests on the Central Coast, 9 people were arrested today during the Occupy Sacramento protests. More groups are joining the Occupy LA march in Southern California tonight, the latest labor unions. But what do these demonstrators really want, and what if they got it?
Do they pay enough in taxes?
Oh, absolutely not. I paid more in taxes than Bank of America, thank you.
The corporate tax rate is 35% federal and 8.8% in California, 43.8% total, the highest in the world. Critics argue it's the major reason why General Electric now builds jet engines in Brazil, with Apple and Google investing heavily overseas.
I think the fact that most of them are paying closer to 15 or 17%, which is less than I pay.
According to the IRS, the Congressional Budget Office, and the Center for Tax Policy, the top 10% of wage earners pay 70% of the federal income tax. 46% of all wage earners will not pay any federal income tax, with many receiving a refund.
They have a lot of loopholes and tax cuts that stop them from having to pay as much taxes as the rest of us.
Among the most significant tax loopholes for the wealthy is the deduction for giving to charities. The Obama administration is seeking to reduce that reduction, an effort that was criticized during a Senate hearing this week by groups such as the United Way.
Well, I think both parties are pretty well, overridden by Wall Street.
According to campaign finance watchdog groups such as OpenSecrets.com and the Summit Foundation, President Obama received more Wall Street money in 2008 in his campaign for president than any candidate in decades, including George Bush. And finally, 1% of the nation's population does not own 99% of its wealth. However, Nobel Prize-winning economist Joseph Stiglitz estimates that they do control 25% of the income and 40% of the nation's wealth. Meantime, in Northern California tonight, officials are warning protesters who are camping outside of Oakland City Hall to move, or they'll have to shut down the protests. A 41-year-old